Hi, Assalamualaikum. We are from group number 2, KME2, would like to present our Islamic Aqidah, the existence of Allah according to the Ashʿarites. So before we dive in, I would like to introduce my group members. First, we have me, Amin, Sen, and then we have Adham, we also have Andra, we have Haris, we have Muaz, we have Izzat, we have Hafizuddin, and we also have Naufal. So before we dive in further, let me tell the background of the problems, of our assignment problem. So the problem is now, some of human in this world trying to prove God with science, which doesn't make sense. It's like trying to wake a feeling. People often make it seem like science and religions are always fighting. But in reality, they are not. So the figure down below show an attempt of scientists to prove the existence of God. So the Ash'arites and all Islamic group did not try to find God in a lab. Instead, they used logic to show that everything around us depends on something else to exist. This led them to the idea of a necessary being, the wajib al-wujud, something that must exist and does not depend on anything. So after the background of the problem, I would like to tell about the introductions of these slides. So in these slides, we will discuss about 5 things. So the first one is, who are the Ash'arites? So the second one, the rational proofs, the dalil aqli for Allah existence. The 3, the concepts of necessary being, wajib al-wujud. Number 4, implications of believing in Allah existence. And number 5, the conclusion. So without further ado, let's move on to the first part, who are the Ash'arites. So after the background of the problem, I would like to tell about the introductions of this slide.
Now I will continue by introducing who are the Ash'arites. The Ash'arites is the most influential theological school in Sunni Islam, and it was founded by Abu Hasan al-Ash'ari. And the most interesting thing is he was originally a part of the Mu'tazilah, which is a group that prioritized reason above revelation. But later, he left that school of thought and began a new approach that aimed to balance reason with revelation. The Ash'arites believe that reason is useful, especially in defending the faith, but it must always remain subordinate to divine revelation. One of their key beliefs was in affirming Allah eternal attributes like knowledge, will and power, but without comparing Allah to His creation. So they avoided both extremes, and which is not too literal and not too philosophical. And over the time, Ash'ari theology became dominant in many parts of the Muslim world, including North Africa, the Levant, and Southeast Asia. Some major scholars like Imam Al-Ghazali, Fakhruddin Al-Razi, and Imam An-Nawawi play a huge role in spreading and developing this idea. So to make it simple, the Ash'arites play a key role in harmonizing faith and reason, defending core Islamic belief using both revelation and rational argument.
According to Islamic philosophy, especially by Ibn Sina, God is called a necessary being. This means God must exist. He was not created, He is eternal, and everything else depends on Him to exist. Philosophers use logic to prove this. If everything needs a cause, there must be something that doesn't. That is God. However, God attributes that knowledge and power are not separate from Him. They are part of His essence. Also, creation doesn't happen because God chooses not to do. Instead, creation happens naturally and necessarily from God's existence. In contrast, the Ash'ariyah also affirm that Allah is the necessary being, but they rely mainly on revelation such as the Quran and Sunnah instead of logic. They believe the world is created and must have a creator, which is Allah. Allah's attributes like knowledge and power are real and eternal, but they are distinct from His essence, no one and the same. Unlike philosophers who say creation happens by necessity, the Ash'ariyah say Allah creates by His will. He chooses to create. They also emphasize faith and revelation more than pure reasoning.
let's move to the next point, which is the rational proof of dalil akli for Allah existence. Referred to akli, logically, comes from the Arabic language. It's referred to at-tafsir bil-ma'kul or bil-ra'i, which means interpretation based on intellectual reasoning, which is ijtihad, not just narration. So there are 2 points that I want to highlight. The first point is the order and regulatory of the universe. All this universe action occur in a very systematic and orderly manner. For example, the creation of earth rotation, day and night life growth are the evidence of a creator. Logical reasoning concludes that a systematic universe need a wise designer. Let's move to the next point, which is rational reasoning in Quran verse. It is rational reasoning to determine the suitability, reasonableness of a verse. For example, in Surah Al-Imran, the third surah in Al-Quran, verse of 190, Quran said that encourage thinking and reflection. So, rational observation of sign and creation lead to belief in Allah existence and wants. In conclusion, Dalil Akli is a rational argument that proves the existence of Allah. It is through observation of natural phenomena and the use of the mind, reason in understanding the verse of the Quran.
So we move to the textual proof dalil nakli from the Quran and Sunnah. For the first one is belief in Allah is the foundation of the Islamic faith, and it is the most important part of being Muslim. And the second one is the Ashʿarites explain the existence of Allah using both, which is text nakli and rational akli proof, with this writing focusing on the textual evidence. And the third one is the Quran clearly prove Allah existence, especially through verse like Ayat Al-Kursi, Surah Al-Ikhlas and Surah Al-A'raf, which describe His powers of oneness and role as a character. And last one, the hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam also confirm Allah existence, such as the hadith of Jibril and hadith Qudsi, showing belief in Allah as central to Islamic faith.
Okay, now let's take a look at the implication of believing in Allah's existence. First of all, I would like to start with the definition of believing in Allah. Believing in Allah is the foundation of Islam. It deeply influences how we think, feel and act, shaping our mind, soul, emotions and behavior. Next, let's look at the impact spiritually. Belief in Allah brings inner peace, comfort and strength during life challenge. It gives us a sense of purpose and calmness. Believing in Allah also can impact us intellectually. It builds a clear worldview. Belief in Allah gives us structured and meaningful way of understanding life, death, and our purpose. It also promotes the rejection of shirk, which means avoiding associating with partners with Allah. This belief helps us stay firm and focused in our faith. So, in summary, believing in Allah can affect us deeply, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and intellectually. It guides us how we live, think, and connect with the world.
I will explain the implication of believing in Allah Subhanahu wa Taala existence from different aspects: intellectually, morally, psychologically, and spiritually. First, intellectually, believing in Allah strengthens our belief in Tawheed, the oneness of God. It also helps us reject shirk, which is associating partners with Allah. When our mind accepts the truth of Allah's existence, it gives us clarity and purpose in life. Next, morally. From a moral perspective, belief in Allah encourages us to live a righteous and ethical life. We become more aware of our action because we know Allah Subhanahu wa Taala is always watching us. This belief strengthens our tawhid and also motivates us to stay away from sinful acts, especially shirk. Furthermore, psychologically, belief in Allah brings calmness and emotional strength. It helps us reduce stress and avoid anxiety. When we trust that everything happens by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala will, we become stronger emotionally and more resilient in facing challenge. Lastly, spiritually, belief in Allah provides inner peace and tranquility. We feel a deep connection with our Creator, which gives us a sense of contentment and fulfillment in life. So, believing in Allah doesn't only affect our religion belief, it also influences our mind, moral, emotion and soul. It shapes us into better individual and have a life in more meaningful and balancing life.
In conclusion, The Ashʿari theological school offers a powerful synthesis of reason and revelation in affirming the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Founded by Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari, it upholds the idea of wajib al-wujud, that a necessary being, Allah, must exist to explain the contingent universe. This framework doesn't just satisfy the intellect, but enriches the soul, fostering spiritual purpose, ethical grounding, and resilience. Even today, in a world filled with doubt and materialism, the Ash'ari tradition continues to guide Muslims, proving that faith and reason can walk hand in hand. Truly, understanding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala existence is not just about thinking deeply, it's about living our life meaningfully.